Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass with JayBee, Milly, and Smash.
So in this week's episode, we are taking a look at Scooby Doo and the Music of the Vampires. So for those of you that haven't seen that for a little while or haven't seen it at all, Smash is kindly going to tell us a little recap of the movie.
All right, kids, sit down. It's story time. So, Music of the Vampire. Well, we kind of start out this movie where the gang are just, they've had it. They can't do any more mysteries. They're all just, fumbling around, which is kind of similar to Phantasaur with Shaggy, but, so they decide to take a vacation, as one does, because they don't do that every day anyways, but we'll move on. So Velma actually decides to take the gang to this vampire palooza in this little town called Little Bat Town, and she wants to meet this author of one of her favorite vampire books, but upon arriving, we find out that he basically is losing money and isn't going to be able to make rent at his, vampire kind of museum and whatever, but he has supposedly found a sarcophagus, coffin thing with a really famous vampire called Valdronia, who it has been preserved for all these years, and so he's going to unveil it, and that's going to pull in attraction and money to the town and his museum so that he can keep going. But aside from that, there is this kind of acting musical group who does shows as vampires, and they did a ritual that they found online which accidentally brought back to life Valdronia, and he escaped his coffin and now is creating havoc around the town, and the gang have to stop the vampire before it kind of makes a vampire gang and gets Daphne to be his bride. So that's kind of the basis, and it is a musical, so we get to sing along the whole time.
Wow, okay, great plot summary. And I suppose...
I've lost my job
Wow,
now.
with it being a musical though, I kind of want to introduce our first semi-related tangent, because I always like setting up the listeners, the audience, at where our mindset is going into this. So, epic tangent time. I want to ask what everyone's opinion is of the musical genre in general, and I guess what some of your favourite musicals are, and I'm going to start off with Milly.
Yeah, I used to love musicals a lot. Growing up, it was a big thing because my mum loved them, and obviously I spent every weekend with my mum because obviously I wasn't at school, so she wasn't at work. So it literally got to a stage where she was just ordering a new musical every week. So we started with things like Hairspray and Mary Poppins, if you want to call that a musical, and worked back to South Pacific. I think there was one called Fiddler on the Roof as well that was a musical. I don't really remember watching it, but literally every weekend we watched a musical. And then obviously other happy connotations of that, I remember one of quite an early movie that JayBee and I watched together was Hairspray, and we were literally singing that together at 3 a.m. So yeah, I've always liked musicals.
Okay. What about Smash?
So, it's bad. I get addicted to musicals. I just absolutely love musicals. I grew up in school. A lot of my friends did the stage plays at our school and stuff, and they were always musicals, and I go support them. I always wanted to be in them, but I could never get past my nerves to actually try out and go do it. But yeah, I've seen a bunch of musicals. I've gone to a bunch of live shows. I think the last one, one of the more recent ones, though it has been a few years now, was the Matilda musical. But I get way too easily addicted to them. It's kind of bad. It becomes the music that I'll listen to for half a year, when I find one that I really like. But I did a few years ago actually find my favorite one. Nothing has beat it for me yet, and I don't know really what it is about it. it just really resonates with me, and I really like the story and the uniqueness of it. But it's the Freaky Friday musical. They turned the kind of Disney Freaky Friday story into a musical. And I was able to go out and see that one live and just absolutely adore it. I love how they changed the story to be a musical, you know. And they actually made a TV movie based on it a few years ago too, which it was alright. I definitely think the stage production of it has a lot more impact than the movie did, because there's a lot of things they had to tame down for the movie. But I'm just saying, if nobody, you know, if you haven't listened to the Freaky Friday musical soundtrack, it is available on all the streaming platforms, and I would definitely recommend it because it's very like under the radar, and like you know, not a lot of people hear about it. But you know, even just like the Disney Channel musicals, I don't care. I will be a kid forever and jam out to those every time there's a new one. I love musicals, anything musicals.
Wow, that's actually amazing.
It is. And what about you, JayBee? Where's your stance on musicals?
First of all, I love how positive you guys are. But I guess also, yeah, Hairspray was like another really good one. I always find myself going back to kind of like the creepy musicals though. So right off the top of my head, yeah, Little Shop of Horrors. Not the happy ending though, I'll say that. Like the ending of, spoiler alert, where you've got Seymour and Audrey, number one, they kind of like get married, they live in a nice little house together, and there's only that kind of hint of negativity where the little plant's just having a little smile in the garden. Yeah, trash that. There's an extended like proper cut where Seymour gets eaten by Audrey too, and massive plants take over New York and cause like destruction while this catchy tune's playing in the background. That is amazing. Like, if you can watch Little Shop of Horrors, watch that version and you will not regret it. Top tier musical. And also Sweeney Todd. I'm not sure if anyone's seen that. The Demon Barber of Fleet Street. That's also really cool. Though I still need to watch the movie. I've only seen it on the stage a few times, but that's kind of the musicals that I come back to more frequently.
In terms of musicals, something I want to ask smASH is, are you familiar with the Disney movie Princess and the Frog?
Yes.
You know, when you saw the opening for this movie, did you get any kind of vibes between the two?
You know, it's kind of funny. I don't think about it often, but I have thought about it here and there because it, you know, there is a similar vibe. I don't know which one came out first. Was it this or Princess and the Frog?
This is
I aren't sure, but it's just that I saw Princess and the Frog first. So as soon as the music started, I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, I got vibes of Arabian Nights, you know, huge Arabian Nights vibe, which obviously predated this movie by quite a bit. So I don't
Princess
know.
and the Frog came out first.
But like, even to the like, obviously, like a lot of Princess and the Frog is about being in a swamp, and obviously they're frogs, and in this there was frogs jumping about, so the location was similar. For me, just the tone behind the song was nearly identical to something. I was just like, oh gosh, wow.
I mean, they just seem to borrow from Disney quite a bit, I want to say, especially in terms of like almost a villain song that they try and do later on. But I feel like it's almost a bit of a shame. They kind of gave away a lot of the plot point just in the opening titles, I feel, because it like the music of the vampire flashes up and it's kind of in like Hollywood lights. There's nothing overly creepy about it. So instantly you're thinking, oh, okay, so something about stage productions and whatever. And a weird way to start it off as well with this guy kind of monologuing. But
it's a lot more Disney again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just that format to have someone speaking at the start. It's
that kind of visual of someone opening a storybook almost.
Yeah.
Like retelling a tale from a while ago. It's weird. I do want to ask though, is there an official Scooby Doo musical anywhere? Because I seem to have vague recollections of visiting this place in England called Blackpool, going to the Grand Theatre there, watching something Scooby-Doo related, and I'm getting like the visualizations of like Aztec aesthetics and stuff, and then like sitting in Nando's afterwards, like eating. I think it was for a birthday party, but is that something that's common, or is that just some weird England thing that I'm thinking of?
No, I was trying to bring up that information quick. I'm sorry, I'm slow, but as I'm trying to find it, I will. Have been a few like stage productions of Scooby. I want to say there's been 2 or 3 already, but currently right now there's actually one that is getting ready to go on the road. It was supposed to be already, you know, kind of out and stuff, but you know, COVID and everything. So there's one that's going to start in October called Scooby Doo and the Lost City of Gold, and they actually just put out the soundtrack for it, so you can pre-save it, and then I believe early October is when that'll go out, so then you can listen to the music from the stage production. So that's going to be exciting. I'm ready to hear the whole thing. There's already a few songs out that you can hear. There's like Do the Scooby Doo, Follow the Stars, something like Dreamland or something. But let's see. So there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's been 5 stage productions of Scooby already, and so the Lost City of Gold is going to be the 6th.
Oh wow! So maybe I wasn't dreaming then. That's actually really cool. And has anyone here seen any of them?
Nope.
I haven't, no.
Oh.
Just you, JayBee, you're on your own.
Oh no, I don't know what I've done. But I guess we've spoken about the intro of this movie quite a lot, right?
Well, I mean, we have. There's still a couple of things that's kind of on my radar to mention. The bit where he's like taking a baseball bat to some crocodiles, I found a bit strange.
I love how you worded that as well, taking a baseball bat to some crocodiles.
I didn't quite know how else to word it. He's
Are
quite
crocodiles
literally
protected, because like if this was like a UK film and like someone was just beating up some like random animals, like there'd be issues. Are crocodiles protected?
I mean, I'm more worried at the fact that they're jumping out of the water so high and standing up above the water, and
well, they're clearly hungry, really hungry crocs. Let me think about. One time I went to America, and I think it was like Florida. You could go on these like, and they actually have them in this movie. They're like boats, but with like a massive propeller on the back of it. And
Yeah.
it was near. Oh, I don't want to say Fort. No, maybe it was near Fort Lauderdale, somewhere about that. And oh my gosh, it's actually frightening. Like you can go on these little like experiences where you almost drive around like a river thing looking for crocodiles, and oh, it was actually frightening. Oh,
yeah, I'm not
like
feeling
it.
like I'd be about that.
Well, no, if you're scared of snakes, these are like, you know, snakes with actual abilities, like arms
No,
and legs
I'm less
and
scared
big
of
teeth.
crocodiles than I am snakes.
Genuinely, you'd rather be locked in a room with a crocodile than a snake?
Yep.
That's mad.
It maybe it's a little bit mad, but it's true.
How? What would you do?
No, I just don't like snakes.
Wow.
Which, I guess that was the first thing you saw in this movie was a snake, so I was a bit like, ah.
Yeah, that's true.
Something else I find a bit weird about the intro, just a little thought that I had, is he was like, oh yeah, I've got all these priceless jewels, I just found them right now, and I was like, how do you find priceless jewels? How did this happen?
Just sitting in the boat.
Yeah. We were just waiting for... But yeah, I feel like that's kind of all I had to say about the introduction. Like we say, it's just a very, very different style to see like a narration thing. It didn't... For all the song kind of gave away a lot about the movie, there wasn't any context really in that scene. It didn't necessarily become too relevant.
And the guy was almost a bit too silly. Like, I know it's weird to say because it's like just meant to be a fun movie, but I think the guy was almost a bit too silly. At least at the start of the movie, you kind of want to add something there, but it was just a bit goofy. But I did really like when it transitions into, you know, the cold open.
The opening.
The opening. The pre-mystery.
Because I guess you can't call it a cold opening because it kind of isn't. It's kind of along the lines of The Witch's Ghost in that they're just wrapping up from the last one. They're just doing an unmasking. But they mention so many previous mysteries like, oh, is it this? No, that was last week. No, wasn't that? No, that was the week before. And I know how smASH sometimes says, when they do an opening like that, it's like, I just want to know what mystery it was they were solving. I want to see that too. Right here, they give you a potential of about 6 different episodes, from giant rats to what is it?
Like there's like a moat monster,
and
ghoul. It's almost a bit of a shame though, because in a lot of the starts of these movies, we just see them absolutely sick of mystery solving. Like they hate it and like they're forced into it by some unseen dictator. Whereas it'd be kind of be, you know, it'd be nice to actually see them enjoying it for once. Like it just seems like whenever they want to send them away somewhere, it's because they're sick of mystery solving.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that's certainly not very, I don't know, it's not a very fun premise. Although I do like this. It's like a massive cockroach, isn't it?
Yeah, I really like how they did that. You know how they do the big silhouette and then it's like, oh, look, that was just a tiny cockroach. And I kind of fell for that a little bit. And then it's like the huge cockroach behind them.
It'd be scary.
I like that little twist. I don't know why.
I don't mind cockroaches, like some people are really against them, but if I saw a massive cockroach, it would be game over. Like, it would be so frightening. So, Smash, what did you think about this kind of pre-mystery, especially when we go on to see that they're getting a bit clumsy, right? Like, it seems to be only Velma that is solving everything while everyone else is, like, falling over themselves.
Yeah.
I first want to say that in the intro, we get our first song, which is called The Bayou Breeze, performed by Jim Cummings. So we already have our first song in this musical, which was just played during the opening credits. But then I have to agree, too, because I love this, like, transition where he, you know, like, blows out his candle and the smoke goes up and then it, you know, transitions into the factory smoke, smog, or whatever. And I love the music that plays during that. I do kind of sometimes feel like the music is a little more eerie than what they portray the movie to be, and I kind of wish they would have played on that a little more. You know, kind of like you guys were saying, where the Bayou dude, I can't remember his name right now, was kind of a little more wacky than maybe should have been at the beginning. But as for the beginning with the gang, I do, you know, it's so hard because I'm always like, if you're gonna do this, let us at least know what the mystery is and like what was happening and stuff. And I do feel like, in a way, it felt very forceful that they were like, oh, we're sick of this, let's go on vacation, because I do feel like they do that a lot. They're like, let's just drop everything and go on vacation because that solves all our problems. And so, I mean, I don't know. I did enjoy kind of seeing the gang kind of like clumsy, you know. It's like, oh, okay, they're not perfect mystery solvers. They don't always get it right. You know, I thought that was kind of a fun aspect, but it did kind of lead into a cliche thing for them.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that JayBee said that I found quite interesting is he was like, what do they mean they need a holiday? They're always on holiday. They might be solving mysteries, but it's not just in their back garden. It's, oh, this one's in Australia, this one's they've gone skiing, this one they've gone to Egypt. It's never just, oh yeah, there's another local mystery happening.
Yeah.
And in terms of what you were like, you mentioned it, JayBee, and then obviously Smash has kind of explained their view. Like, though I think it's really weird how they introduced that holiday thing. Like, Scooby and Shaggy are just lying there on the floor. Fred's wrapped up in this tape. Daphne looks like she's trying to climb a wall away from the bugs, and it's just like. And then Velma's just like, yeah, I've got this all covered. I'm a bit like, I don't know how I feel. Like, I don't know if we need to completely immobilize the other four before Velma gets her moment.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me a bit of the start of the 2002 movie. Like, even the transition from fog to this underground reminded me of how they introduced the Wow toy factory. And to see them in disarray at the end of it is very fitting to that, I guess. I don't know if this is maybe how they should have dealt with it in that movie instead of just, like, splitting up the team. But for all it's played out, I guess going on holiday isn't an awful setup, right? It gets them from one place to another.
It does.
So,
and what's really interesting about them going this time is the Velma driving thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's a terrible driver. There's so many times when we see her just driving off the face of a cliff into a river. I mean, the Mystery Machine would never have been the same again.
no, I mean, we nearly did that today, though, to be fair.
Yeah, but today's driving thing was just awful. Like,
Yeah.
that was traumatic.
Why was Velma driving
But
like
yeah,
that,
like
though?
he literally just, let's drive off a cliff. Let's drive into this
Yeah.
river. Like, it's just going to float. It's going to be fine. Oh, gosh. But, I mean, it sticks to a music theme there as well, because Daphne's like, oh, let's put on these show tunes.
Yeah.
But the first song that they actually start singing in the build-up to that, I think is actually amazing. Perhaps maybe one of the best ones in this entire movie. Like, I think this is exactly what you need, right? Not only is it catchy, but it's also with the characters that we know. So an issue that I have coming up later on is that this is like meant to be an in-world musical, so it's not just like they're going to see one theatre production and they're the only musical people or whatever. It's like, for some reason, this universe has been transformed into one where characters in everyday life can break out into song. And that kind of only works in its best way when it's like characters that we are familiar with in a non-musical setting, acting musical, because then it's a spectacle and it's a way to explore characters in a way that isn't just, the dialogue, it's lyrical as well. And when it's just random people breaking into song, it's like, okay, that's fine, but we don't know them from a non-musical setting, so this could just be just another day in the office for them. Then maybe they're just the type of person that breaks into song at random moments. We don't know, but we know that certainly Mystery Inc. doesn't do that all the time. So this first song really does tick all my boxes into what I was wanting for this movie, and I honestly, the only negative about it is simply the fact that it isn't available on like an album somewhere.
It bugs me so bad that they have this musical movie and they don't like put the music out to stream or download or even get like on a CD. I'm like, this is like the best money making thing right here. Come on, so many people would buy the soundtrack.
Yeah, like they released one for like Abracadabra Duo and Count Scare, and then not this one. It's like, why? Like,
Yeah.
This is the definition of this is why you release albums for stuff like this.
I mean, musically related, I've got a question for the expert here. You always seem to know more context around things, Smash. Do you know how the cast felt about like the Spinner singing one?
There's not a whole lot of like behind the scenes talk with this one. I was even just trying to look up stuff, and this movie's so bare with behind the scenes stuff. I know there was a interview not too long ago where they talked with Christian Campbell, who played Bram, and that he was kind of like a guest star, so they didn't, he's not like one of the regular gang members, but I do think like for Gray, she loved it. I mean, she loved doing the performance in Mr. Incorporated because she is a singer. Not only is she a voice actor, but she's also a singer, and so she loves the opportunity to kind of bring both out. But I know for Velma, they got someone else to do Velma's singing voice. Frank Welker actually did do Fred and Scooby. Matthew Lillard did do Shaggy. Gray did Daphne. So the only one that didn't do their singing of the main four, or main five, whatever, was Velma, who Bets Malone was Velma's singing voice. So as far as I know, it was kind of just one of those one and done type things. There's not a lot much more said about it.
I guess if there's lack of behind the scenes things, I guess that's always a possibility for us to make something. Like, hopefully one day we can interview someone that was in this movie and just see, because it is a very interesting format. I'll say that much for it. And it's like, you got to think, why did they do it like this? Because it didn't have to be. I mean, they could have just had the one song and just like chalked it down to a quirky intro, or even kept with the format of like, you know, the Phantasaur and things like that, where you have that kind of cute little animated intro, and this could have been like the intro to that. Like, it could have been a number of different things. So to make it like this is interesting. But from the sequence, we then start arriving in, what is it, Little Bat Town?
Little Bat. To which Velma's incredible driving leads to nearly running a child over. So yeah, that's kind of the first sign that Velma's kind of played them a little bit. She was like, no ghosts, no ghouls, and specifically didn't mention vampires.
Yep.
But why? Like, what's she thinking? Like, they're all burnt out from mystery solving. She, like, literally at the start of this sees all her friends, like, on the floor, like, exhausted, and then she's just like, oh, I'm gonna drive them off cliffs and take them to a vampire exposition. Like, why? Why does she do this?
I know, it definitely feels very, like, I don't want to say selfish, but she was like, well, you gave me the wheel, so I'm going somewhere I want to go.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, not like, oh, they were all too ill to drive, it's just all been too much.
And she won't even tell them, like, she won't even get their input from it. And it does seem like she's just there primarily to try and find, like, the author of Silverlight. Like, I guess the Twilight parody in this.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why she's there. And they don't actually see them, do they?
No, not that I remember.
The only one we do get is this... Oh, gosh,
Vincent Van Helsing.
Vincent Van Helsing, yeah. The author of the kind of, I guess, classic vampire. So they kind of try and distinguish between, like, I've come to suck your blood vampire, and, like, the Robert Pattinson, let's, like, glow in the dark and look a bit hunky vampire.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's fair to say, and I know we're not quite there yet, but the vampire in this is far from the Robert Pattinson Stephanie Meyer adaptation. This one's petrifying.
Oh, the kind of shrieking one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they arguably have both, right? Like, they could have done something thematically with that, to be honest. The kind of clashing ideologies and inputs, because you've got Bram there that could fit the role of hunky Patterson vampire, and also this shrieking banshee vampire that could fit the, I guess, the spooky vampire thing. They could have done something interesting with that, but ultimately not. And I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about that. There's a lot of vampire things where, to the point, I do feel like it has become like vampires are just glowing, like glow-in-the-dark dreamboats, essentially. Like, you've got Buffy the Vampire Slayer that had Spike and Angel. There's Vampire Diaries, which I've only seen a couple of episodes from, but I know there's like 2 dreamboats in that series. There's like, again, it seems very similar to Buffy. So there seems to be an evil dreamboat that turns good later, and then a good dreamboat that turns bad later. It's weird. And to memory, I can't think of the last time I've seen something vampire related where it has just been spooky vampire. Like, what?
I'd agree with you there. I can't think about the last thing I saw where it was like, vampires are scary, vampires are dangerous.
Not just vampires are
Yeah.
Calvin Klein models that hate garlic. But yeah, so it is no, like, wonder why this Van Helsing is a bit aggrieved. You know, their book sales aren't going well. But in terms of what we see happening here, what do we think of the character of Van Helsing? Smash.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, he kind of bugs me. And maybe it's just like because he's older and so he's like a, you know, one of those generational things. And, you know, maybe I really shouldn't be talking about this right now with stuff I'm going through. But I'm like, he just is so like, no, vampires are this. And I don't, you know, none of the new stuff matters. And it's all fake and blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, like when the actors or whatever do their little chant or whatever, he's so like he's so upset. He's like, how dare they do this? And it's like, you don't own that chant. Like, you can't tell him not to do that. It's not copywritten or anything. And he's just, I feel like just throughout the whole movie, he's so upset. There's not like one part in the movie where he's like, oh my gosh, look at my pride and joy or anything. Like, even when he is showing off his museum, he's like, yeah, well, this, and yeah, well, that. Like, he has to correct everybody. And I'm just like, dude, like, apparently you need to do something better with your life because you're not happy.
Yeah, like, he definitely is like a walking, talking, like, almost like Dementor. He just like sucks the fun out of any room that they're in. But I suppose a lot of it could be them trying to cover their tracks. For example, you mentioned he was very upset in the audience when the kind of musical vampires were doing the chant, like, oh, this is dreadful, this is actually a genuine chant and they're going to do something. I guess he has to say that in front of Mystery Inc. Because if he says this is a fake chant, then he's kind of blown his own cover, like, you know, oh, you got this from Wikipedia, this is garbage. But you are right, they are just there to complain, like some cantankerous old man. But a moment from this that I thought was really cute, that when Van Helsing was talking about how like awful like Twilight or whatever they call it is, and Velma like drops her copy of Twilight and Shaggy picks it up, sees that it belongs to Velma, and like tucks it away. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so I guess maybe a vampire's gonna like punch Shaggy, or some projectile's gonna get flown at Shaggy, and the book's gonna be what makes him survive, and they're gonna have like a funny moment where like they think Shaggy's hurt, but he's not because he had the book with him. But no, it's just cute. Like he saw that Velma was trying to like save face in front of Van Helsing and just made sure she didn't lose a book, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is actually really sweet. I love that.
I sometimes wonder if they like forgot that they did that, because I totally did think that was gonna come back and Shaggy was gonna be like, either, you know, yeah, use it for defense, or be like, oh yeah, Velma, I have your book, like, you know, like at the end after they do the unmasking, it's like, here, slap him with the book.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off as quite sweet to do that.
I mean, I don't know, there seems to be a few things that they forget about in these movies, and I don't know why, and they're like not bad things. Like, gosh, the earliest thing I can think of is Monster of Mexico, when they clearly lay down the groundworks for a coffee bean being in the footprint of El Chupacabra, which is a genuine clue, which would have given us a genuine tip to who it was, and then it's never mentioned when they round up the mystery. It's something like that. Then again, besides what I was saying about it protecting Shaggy from something, I can't think what this could have done at any point. Perhaps it would have helped the weird George Foreman guy with his invention. I don't know, but it might have done something. But now we go into this situation where they go into Van Helsing's almost museum area, right? His Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And again, this is a bit interesting, because is it the case where this is Van Helsing's property, and to make, you know, ends meet, they're having to rent it out to this convention?
I almost feel like he lives in that like museum place.
Ah. So I don't know, it kind of irritates me, and I know like people do stuff in their own way, obviously. Now I'm gonna sound like the cantankerous old man. And I'm definitely the same way. Like, I can't do this to myself, so like, I guess I'm not necessarily criticizing them. But the part of their musical number is, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do when the rent is due? What am I gonna do? And meanwhile, they're sat in this massive collection of like stuff, and it's kind of like, well, you know, I'm sure nothing's gonna go for millions, but if you auction off some of the memorabilia or some of like the fine fabric and cloth you've got, like, I'm sure you'd be fine for a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, I don't know. I'm bad with selling things, to be fair. So I guess he's just a bit of a hoarder. But he could be a bit happier about it. So where are we now? We learn about Valdronia. I think that's what they're called anyway. They're the kind of spooky vampire. And I gotta say,
Yes.
this is a different interpretation for a vampire, because it's almost like a monster, and I'd never thought about vampires as monsters before. I did genuinely think it was almost a Jekyll and Hyde type scenario where they would just be, okay, I guess vampire bats, right? There's people in capes that turn into bats sometimes, or they have the ability to turn into bats. But this is like a full-on goblin almost.
Yeah, I sometimes I don't know. I kind of go back and forth with like, I like this vampire. I don't. I do like kind of the uniqueness to him and like how he turns into a bat. You know, it's not like a bat. And like, his face sometimes weirded me out, but as the movie goes on, I kind of get a bit more used to it and enjoy it. I do. I don't know. I felt like it wasn't classic like Dracula, but it also wasn't the glittery glow in the dark vampire. And that's I mean, I think you said it best. He seems like a monster more than I guess a being or something.
Yeah, he reminds me a bit of that kind of spooky evil wizard from like Avengers Infinity War, like the weird Squidward looking thing.
Yeah.
But further to this, we then get, is this okay? So this is the third song. It's really, I've written down all the songs in my notes, but for some reason I've skipped out the first like intro bio song. So I've classed this as song 2. I don't quite know why, but it's, what is his name? Is it Bram? Because when I first saw this, I thought his name was Graham. For some reason, they were just saying it in like an American way. It's weird. I went through my like childhood thinking that Spider-Man's best friend was called Harry because I didn't understand that. Obviously, it's like Americanized, so Harry is like hairy. So I just thought his friend was called Harry. I'm weird, okay? So when I first saw this, I thought the vampire was called Graham, and they were just pronouncing it in an American way. And then I thought it might have been Grant, but is it just Bram? Gran?
Yeah.
Not Gran.
Bram.
Ah, so like a bit of a reference to Bram Stoker? Possibly.
Certainly.
So this is the kind of song that they have. And again, it isn't bad. I actually think that this song is decent.
Yeah.
Again, it's just very...
And this is...
Yeah.
This is the third song, by the way. The second one was the Done with Monsters when they were driving.
Yeah, this is a fine song. Again, it's just because they're like musical people on a stage, so it's like, is this meant to be a random... Is this meant to be a song? Like, if this was just a normal Scooby movie, would this have been a song anyway? Or would this have been something else? It's kind of like, I don't know, but it was fine. And I think Daphne fangirling is alright, but it's just kind of odd because it's like they set up Velma as being this huge vampire fan, but then it's Daphne that's fangirling. So,
yep.
Like, why?
I guess character development, just because Daphne's about to be removed for a little while.
But why? Because if you think about it, the last 2 movies have had people interested in Velma. Like in Camp Scare, there was that awful pervert, like camp counselor or sheriff or whatever he was, going, "Oh,
you really didn't take him not finding Daphne attractive very well."
No. Well, he was a misogynist, and if there's one thing that I can't stand for, it's misogynism. So there was that misogynistic pervert in Camp Scare. There was Windsor, obviously, in Phantasaur, and so it's kind of like, well, you know, the vampire could have seen Velma as the eternal beauty with a pure soul, and I don't think people would have, like, if people would have accepted the last 2 movies, it would have worked for this as well. I'm incidentally glad that it's Daphne, because I think if they did it with Velma 3 movies in a row, it'd be a bit like, okay, this is kind of a bit of a tired recurring joke by now, or like recurring theme. But then it's like, well, is it impossible to make Daphne into a certain genre of books? It's kind of like we need someone to be into books, so naturally it's Velma. But then it's like, well, maybe not. Or it would have made sense maybe to have, like, again, this kind of clashing ideologies where Velma is interested in Van Helsing's book. Well, it's Daphne that's trying to get, like, a Twilight signature or something. So, I don't know. It just seems odd to have Velma set up as the vampire fan, and then ended up having Daphne be the one in the vampire audience that's screaming and shouting.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I just don't know. It just seemed like they didn't want Daphne to be interested in reading, and it's like, well, come on. Like, I think Daphne can do anything. Daphne's almost like a superhero in many ways. I think you just shook your head at me. I just pointed to my notes, like, get on with it. Oh my lord.
You and Daphne, I just don't comment.
Why not?
You're gonna end up with your own restraining order. I don't want to be part of that.
Well, you will be, won't you? You'll help me out of hopes.
You can hope all you want.
So we see Van Helsing adding credence to their spell, which is what we were talking about earlier. But one thing that they don't totally... Actually, no, I guess they do explain it. Everything that happens in this performance now, is that all Van Helsing's projectors or, like, something?
Okay.
Do you think so?
Mm.
I forget how they explain it away, but I'm sure it is like that. I'm sure it is.
How? What? Sorry.
Like, you know when, like, they resurrect the vampire and there's all, like, green smoke?
Yeah, I'm not fully, like, understanding how they did that. What was supposed to be in that green smoke? Because Daphne does get a little brainwashed, doesn't she?
Well, in this
Like, she starts to agree with them and stuff, and, like, when she's like, they're like, oh, you are the vampire bride, she's like, I am the vampire bride, and...
they fall asleep on the stage, don't they? There's meant to be a performance. There's like two performances, right? There's meant to be a member of Bram's group that is meant to go out, I guess, as the resurrected vampire, but then, like, it gets clobbered on the head behind the scenes, and then this, quote, real vampire, that's Van Helsing's vampire, comes out, and I think that that's meant to just be a projection, right? Because obviously it's not real.
Can I just ask, you know when we got to that scene, when you starting to think, like, this has happened quickly, we're getting... to some quite key points of this movie rather quickly.
What, the resurrection of the vampire?
Because obviously we watched this movie twice, and it was a very quick one.
You couldn't stay awake for it. So
No, that's why we watched it twice, admittedly. But on the second watch through, it was less than an hour, right?
Well, yeah, we had half an hour left before recording.
Yeah, and we rewatched the entire thing.
I don't think we rewound it that much. Like, we definitely weren't at
I don't know, I think it was a very, very short movie. I think it got to, like you say, like big things like fully kind of almost setting up chase scenes and stuff really quickly.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm wondering if it's because of the intro and that they kind of like revealed the plot so early that they were like, oh, well, we gotta just jump into it.
Yeah, just like, we don't need to explain anything here. We don't need to just let it happen. This is the concept. I think maybe the focus was very much on the music as opposed to the story.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a shame that the evil vampire itself didn't have like some cool like supervillain song. Like Be Prepared.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd.
The only real... We only really got him singing in the Bride of the Vampire song towards the end.
Yeah, like for here they literally just show up and they look at Daphne and they go like, oh, such beauty, and then they just kind of like Fred scares them off. And it's kind of mad. And then what? At this point as well, there's kind of a funny moment where there's a security guard that tases themselves.
Poor guy.
Like the prongs are meant to look like vampire bites, so everyone kind of gets spooked.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd.
Imagine getting tasered though. Like, have you ever been tasered, Milly?
No, it's strange. Like, so were they part of the gang to do that? Why did they? And how did it look like that? Did they specifically order it to go with?
I think
it was a lot that, you know, we want a two-pronged taser so it looks like a vampire bite.
I think it was a complete accident, you know. Like,
weird.
They got spooked fell on the floor, that taser like cartoonishly flies in the air and then like lands down on them, like just prong first. But I don't know. It actually does seem like a really weird coincidence now that I think about it. I didn't even think tasers were like that anymore. I thought tasers were like guns that you could like fire at people.
Sometimes they are, like, they have these extenders. Like, sometimes you can shoot them out and then they'll kind of like projectile out.
Do they use tasers in America?
Yes and no. No, I wouldn't say very often, but yeah, they're used here.
Because I think, what did they do here? I know that, like, Millie, do you remember when there was that hilarious, like, video that was, like, circulating, that was recorded in, like, your hometown, and there was some, like, guy screaming and shouting, and then, like, the police had to end up tasing them. And they,
Yeah.
like, oh no, I'm not gonna, come on, someone's gotta try. I'm gonna find a taser on Amazon tonight.
I don't think you can. My cousin tried, like,
Your cousin tried to get a taser?
No, let me explain.
Oh lord.
His daughter was 15 and she wanted to go to her first festival.
I love that.
And he didn't want to send her unprepared. So he was just researching what exactly laws were for the UK.
I mean, full respect, right? Like, yeah, come on, you research tasers, research pepper spray, research nunchunks, like, come on, research bodyguards. I don't like that. You'd be scared, wouldn't you? You'd be terrified.
I mean, I don't know that I'd have sent her at 15 personally.
No, at least unless
15 might be a little bit young, but
well, obviously, or
at least he was trying to do some research and not send her on her own.
I'll send them with a drone, right?
Maybe
a little live streaming drone that you can see, like, haha, you're now in my sights, young one. Don't worry. Or at least that's what I would do, because with my genetics, whatever daughter that I'm able to produce is going to be a solid 10 out of 10. Like, you know what I mean? With my natural genetics. So
it's so good that you've got such self-belief, JayBee. We're really happy for you.
No, literally, look at me at 17 and tell me that that wouldn't make the next, like, top Victoria's Secret model. Come on, do it. I challenge you. So look forward to that. I'm going to be a very paranoid daddy one day. But until that point, let's get back onto the plot. Where are we? Maybe SMASH can help bring me back to the world of the normal.
There was a taser.
Well, I believe it's like the vampire was just coming to life and kind of came and crashed their ritual.
Oh my gosh. And to be fair, it does seem at this point like none of them are in on it, right? It just seems like Van Helsing has tricked everyone, because what happens? There's like a moment where the vampire appears and Bram's almost like, oh my gosh, that's you know, that's not right. Like, clearly at this point they've been tricked. So I don't quite know how accountable they are at this point.
Them wanting some involvement and their financial stuff was explained very early. Like, it made it quite clear that he was a suspect early on, I think.
Yeah.
Like, for all he appears surprised and the stuff in place, they did also make it quite clear at the start, like, he needs this.
Yeah, they were a bit opportunistic. I guess that's the right word. Like, they may not have set out to help with this plan or whatever, but they definitely did take the first opportunity possible to be, like, a bad person about it.
Yeah.
Which is bad. But honestly, Fred trying to figure out what happened with, like, the security guard is one of the funniest things, especially when, like, it's revealed that he volunteers at, like, the police department. It just, like, makes Fred seem like Dwight from The Office or something. It's just so funny just to imagine them. But, like, they're, like, tasering him for fun in that clip. And it's like, why? I think Fred should just stick with Mr. Yang.
I thought that was funny that they even did like a whole flashback scene for it to show Fred getting tased.
It's weird. It's like that scene from The Hangover, if you've seen that, where like they're just tasering the guy for fun. But now we're on to, oh gosh, I think we're skipping forward, but there's another song now, and it's that woman. what's she called? I don't know the woman's name, but she's like the main presenter at the carnival.
Lita?
Oh,
The one that
Lita.
complains about the free
Rutland?
tickets, do you mean?
Yeah, the one's like, no such
Yeah.
thing as paying customers anymore. And I'll be honest with you,
Yes.
I think this song is trash. Like, it physically made my ears bleed. It's like, I don't know, it just seemed like she was trying to be a Disney villain 1 second, but I don't know. I really
True.
don't like this song. It ends like a Disney villain. Like, she's just like starts laughing and it pans up to the moon like she thinks she's Zara from Lion King 2 or something. Like, it just wasn't a vibe. I don't know if anyone likes it, I guess that's cool. But for me personally, this is easily the weakest song in, I think, the whole movie. And it's just awkward as well. Like, she tries to be a bit quirky with it and it just doesn't work. Like, there's a line in it that's like, and that made me shriek, it's a vampire. And it's like, oh gosh, you're like a cringy DJ at a 6-year-old's party. Stop.
That's amazing.
But I guess, Millie, what did you think of this musical number from this woman?
Certainly wasn't my favourite. I think, and I think you've said this as well, I feel like they maybe peaked a little early with the music.
Oh, well, yeah.
Like I said, I really enjoyed the kind of Princess and the Frog comparative. I really enjoyed the first one. And then I feel like maybe it fell off a little bit the more you go into it.
Maybe. Well, I guess let me just think about the songs we've got coming up. I guess I don't want to think about it that way, but certainly the, like, started off with, like, a heavy hitter. I guess there's, like, the first song, which I just thought was a bit of a mood-setting song, but definitely the first, character song that we see them physically singing it, they come out with a heavy hitter, and from there it's just a bit, like, hit or miss.
Yeah.
But Smash, what did you think about the musical number in this section?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's one of the weakest of the whole movie. Because, again, I feel like this is where we should have gotten a song from the vampire rather than her, because it's making her out to be the villain, which, yeah, kind of a red herring type situation, but it was like, okay, so we had this whole song from her, trying to be like, ooh, yay, I'm gonna make profit off of this and stuff. But then I just feel like it didn't go anywhere, It's like, because then suddenly down the road we get this curfew and she's just like, oh, well, I lost, okay, done. So I'm like, what was the point of her song?
But it's mad because it makes it seem like she is gonna genuinely, like, prosper from the events of the song. Like, you see people walking past, like, shops, and it's getting genuine news coverage, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, using garlic to scare vampires away looks great. And it's like, well, where are they watching that broadcast from? Like, if they're watching it from the other side of the country, I'd say maybe just stay away from that place. Or if they're watching it from the town, it's like, well, maybe don't go to the carnival. It's a bit ridiculous, because it would only, if it's already a dying festival, are they really implying that people are going to go to the dangerous festival that was already not popular to buy garlic? Like, go to the supermarket, just get some garlic, put it in your house, it's fine. There's no need to go to this carnival for overpriced garlic. It's a bit ridiculous. I mean, how much is garlic?
Like 89p, so like, I don't know what the
What's that in
conversion is.
cents? Is it cheap? I think it's cheaper in pounds or cents. Let me think. So what? We're talking maybe I don't know. I don't know anything about money conversion, to be honest. But let me see. Oh, there's also this other sequence then I think the following day, which I actually think was really mean. And that's when the main woman, like, just buys a copy of Van Helsing's book just to throw it in the bin. And I just think that's mean. It's nasty. Well, why do that? Like, I kind of get it. It's funny in the moment, and she definitely plays it off well. But it's like, why? Don't do that. But then we also get this, I don't know what to call this guy. Is he a like, you know, the one that wants to become the mayor, that's very anti-vampire.
Jasper Kubel.
Jasper. Hmm.
Jasper.
What would be the best way to describe them? A radical? A skeptic? I don't know. What do they call, like a campaigner, I suppose?
Yeah, there you go.
But they're like them becoming famous from this is very interesting as well, and so that again makes another suspect, especially when they do find out that they want to become the mayor. But a key point that I like about this is that they show that Daphne is able to pick locks, and I just think giving her those kind of like special skills is just amazing. I like that a lot. They're a bit of a detail that they don't linger on here, but it's nice.
Is this where too? I don't know why I think it's funny, but where Shaggy and Scooby are like banging on the door, and the cops like, "Doors don't explode" or something. I don't remember.
Oh, I don't remember that as well either, but I know that it definitely does lead on to them getting chased by the security guards, so it definitely is a possibility.
Yeah, because they were like, Shaggy and Scooby were sitting outside the trailer. They're like, just like tap on the door, you know, if you see someone coming. And so they're like, "Oh, we're just door inspectors, making sure nothing happens or whatever." And I always thought it was funny because they're like, "Doors don't explode," and then they swing open the door and hit them.
That's actually really funny. I love those kind of slapstick moments that they can have in these movies. That's actually amazing. But they do run up from security, which is a bit interesting, I guess, to say the least. But then they end up back in the mystery machine, and I forget, is Velma almost acting as like a getaway driver for them there?
Yeah, pretty
Like,
much.
swings the door open, like, get in! And it's like, well, I mean, okay, look. I understand that it's a cartoon and they have fun with things, okay? But I'm telling you, if you are wanted by the police or any authority, and you use the mystery machine as a getaway drive, like a getaway car, you are going to be caught in 2 minutes, like, not even 2 minutes, because all they need to do is give the description of that car, and it's like, you're done. Like, everyone's going to report that, because it's not like, oh, we have, like, a black Mercedes. Okay, well, there's, like, 25 of them. It's like, oh, we've got a van with the words "the mystery machine" spray painted on the side, it's green, and it has floral, orange flowers all over it. And it's like, okay. Fine. But fair enough, they're like
I always
driving
you brought up getaway car. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I was just like, oh, made me think of the Taylor Swift song "Getaway Car."
I don't think I've ever heard that. I think I've only ever heard, I think, one Taylor Swift song, which is
That's
22.
okay. I don't listen to her a lot, but it just made me think of that.
What about you, Millie? Do you like Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Which songs are your favourites?
I remember going shopping with my sister-in-law and she loved them. So, like, she was there trying to drive, but at the same time, she was bouncing about all over the car. I was so scared.
Wait. Oh, like, on, like, the radio or something, and they were dancing?
It was on her phone, but, like, obviously when you're driving, you have to hold the steering wheel, right? So she had her hands on the steering wheel,
Oh,
but
I assume so, yeah. Like...
her entire body was, like, spinning around in circles. She was all over the place in the car. And all the roads around where I live, JayBee knows, they're narrow. It's, like, all countryside. I was like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with Taylor Swift is, like, I kind of grew up in, like, a very, like, almost, like, toxic masculinity environment, right? So it's kind of like, as a guy, it was like, okay, fine, you get, like, one type of, like, artist of that genre that you can follow, or, like, you're just gonna get bullied. So for me at the time, it was either, right, okay, you've got Taylor Swift or you've got Katy Perry. And at the time, I chose Katy Perry. And for, well...
Hey, Katy Perry's great.
I like Katy Perry, like, oh, Firework, and, oh, I had, like, the album downloaded.
We did.
Oh my lord, okay. But maybe now that I'm a bit
going
older,
to
get some Tatum.
Katy Perry concert in January.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow, that's actually amazing. I know that they did a kind of Pokemon song recently that was okay.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Electric. Oh, I love these little
Yes.
tangents. Katy Perry, though, that's going to be amazing to see that. Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited. My friend is like super into her and whatever. And there's a concert in Vegas in January. And she's like, "Someone go with me." So she like called me up. She's like, "Hey, will you go to this with me?" And I was like, "Sure." I'm not like the biggest Katy Perry fan, but I know enough of her that I'll go and have fun.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like last Friday night. No. Teenage Dream. California Girl.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, they've got to do them. Let's see. When is the one in the UK, Millie? Should we find that?
I don't know.
We're gonna find that.
You can get me tickets though if you do, JayBee.
What do you mean? Would you want accommodation as well, or can I just leave you there? No, I'd love to do that. That'd be amazing. So, wow. Okay. But yeah, maybe now that I'm a bit older, I can start getting into Taylor Swift more. I know that my younger brother used to like Taylor Swift quite a bit, but I think at the time it was for like different reasons, I guess.
Trying to seem
Yeah.
cool, JayBee.
I don't know. I think he was doing it for the wrong purposes. But I don't know. Whatever he does. Okay, so they're in the Mystery Machine. They've just escaped. They've had the grand little escape. And they then get another visit from this spooky spectre vampire thing. And one thing I appreciated a lot was there's that wedding song that plays at the end, that dearly beloved.
Yeah.
Like an instrumental of that plays right as the vampire shows up. And inside, like, my inner soundtrack lover was like, okay, that's a really cool attention to detail. So the movie instantly scored some points on that note. And that leads to the sequence where they manage to get a bit of clothing from the vampire. Which
Yep.
is a plot point. That then leads us to not only Scooby and Shaggy getting separated from the team, but also it enabled Daphne to then show another skill where they can identify different types of fabric in terms of when it was made and everything. And again, I just thought that was amazing because it wasn't portraying her to be, I guess, a Velma character where she's gonna like all of a sudden get like scientific knowledge, but definitely in their own fields, they're an expert in that regard. To the point where Van Helsing then needs to make something up to cover their tracks yet again.
Really random side note. Because Velma like picked him up to be the getaway car, and then it kind of like cuts and it's like nighttime and they're driving, and I was like, where did you guys go? Where are you guys driving this whole time?
That's a good point, because it's like daylight when they escape.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just in the nighttime. Huh. I did not think about that. See, also, I don't analyze, I guess, the logic of the movies in particular, just more up to scrutiny. And sometimes I even think about this series and it's like, well, would I almost have had a better time with some of these if I knew that I wasn't going to speak about them analytically, if I'd just gone on an experience with them all? And I don't know. Probably not, though, because this is like
Talking's
memories. And I love talking. And talking isn't for wimps, no matter what
And
the
your
Black Knight goes
tangents.
talking is for wimps. Talking is for wimps. Ha 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 ha. You're going
We should have been the
nowhere.
Black.
No. This is weird. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we should have been, though. I want to do this thing, okay? Like, obviously people listening to this, they're gonna have listened to the Kate Melton interview. I don't know if they do like voice acting coach, but I'm almost tempted to just get back in touch with her and going, please, I want to try and do something with my voice. Like, I'm dying to
Did she say she did a little bit?
I'm not sure. I've listened back to to be honest, I've not listened back to the episode yet without like just freaking out. But I'm pretty sure that was encompassed in it as well, but I didn't know if it was specific, voice acting lessons. It was more like if you're in a performance, obviously you're going to want to change your voice a bit for certain roles, but I'm not sure if it was purely just audio.
Yeah.
We went to Walmart and they have a whole stack, like by where you got the Pepsi one more pallet down, and they have just a pile like as tall as us of these.
Okay.
They're like, we have to try it, kind of good. Apparently, Angie's ooing Must be good.
I can't place it, but I like it.
Okay, I'll try it.
It's not a taste the rainbow, but it is candy.
Candy!
Let us know when you're done.
Okay,
Let us know what you're...
okay. Interruption, sorry.
I legit thought that you were voice acting there.
Nope, sorry.
He's auditioning.
That was just my friend.
That came at like the best moment. I like honestly thought that you were like doing a voice like a character. I was like, oh my gosh.
We're like addicted to trying like all the different fun flavored drinks and whatever, and Mountain Dew just came out with this year's Voodoo flavor, and they found it, so they brought me one.
Oh, let's do voodoo. They probably don't have anything like that in the UK though. The UK can get so boring with stuff. Like, we literally get nothing over here apart from.
Well,
Coke,
last year, the Mountain Dew Voodoo flavor was Skittles, so now we got to see what this year's is.
Oh, see, I don't know. So, did they not tell you? Is it almost like random? Is it a surprise?
It's a mystery flavor every year that they do, and then at the end of its run, so basically these will be out for the rest of this year, more or less. But once it's done, then they'll be like, this year's flavor was, did you guess it right? So.
This could almost be a return to form for this podcast, I'm almost tempted to see if I can go on eBay and import some to the UK.
Or maybe I just need to send you some.
Well, who knows? I mean, I'm definitely down for a little... Oh, we could do a taste session. Guess the flavor.
Ooh, okay. It's definitely a candy again this year, but I can't place it yet.
Candy. Red Vines. Haribo.
It'll come to me.
We'll see. Maybe by this episode we'll have predicted it.
It almost reminds me of Smarties.
Oh. Okay, so we could have some proper breaking news on this show. That's actually exciting. So if anyone has tried this drink, comment down below what flavor you think it is, and I guess winner gets... I don't know what the winner gets. Something.
Congratulations, a high five from all of us.
Yay! So, I guess, story now. So let's see, so Shaggy's scared of becoming a vampire. And then Shaggy starts to try and leave Scooby, which was very sad actually. It kind of made me a bit emotional, because it's like, oh no, they're like best friends, why are they doing that? But I feel like when they break into the kind of Shaggy and Scooby song, I kind of feel like this was perfect at the start. Like, it wasn't the best melody or like the best vocals. Like, I don't think it would be like ready to be like a concert or anything. But it didn't need to be. That's the thing. It was just them being who they are, singing. And that's what you'd need from this episode. Like, we'd want to see them in this fun musical setting, which I think was absolutely perfect. I guess the only negative implication is like a line implied that Shaggy didn't believe that Fred, Velma, or Daphne would care if he died. And it's like, well, okay. I'm sure they would.
Yeah, that was sad.
Because it literally showed their silhouettes. It's like...
Yeah, and just like saying bye.
And it's like, oh, I don't know. And that's what I don't like. I think they work well as being like a group of... Just a group of friends, not just like, for some reason, there's these two other friends that follow them around sometimes. It's better when it's presented as a unit, and that was kind of sad. Then the song kind of escalates into something a bit different. It's essentially a pro-lockdown versus anti-lockdown sing-off, which
Yeah.
and it was weird because like seeing what I see on like Facebook or something with like people debating lockdowns and stuff, and it's like, this is if that was a musical. There's like one group cheering that things are closed down and that like vampires can't spread their diseases, and then everyone's like shutting us down, but that isn't fair. Like, oh no.
I've never thought of that, but that's so funny.
Oh, in a new context, it was kind of hilarious, but also a bit like, Yeah, maybe not. Like, very topical.
This
though,
one-
so-
This one, so this is called Scooby and Me, but this one definitely to me has like the most like theater production vibe, you know, like or you know, kind of like if you were to go see this on stage, I feel like this is kind of how they would do it because they have two different stories going on, so they'd have like, you know, one side of the stage singing this part, the other side of the stage singing this part.
Yeah, a bit like a West Side Story type vibe, like versus
Mhm.
like a versus song, or let me think, Rock of Ages kind of did a similar thing. But I thought it was interesting.
Also, I lied. Frank Welker does not do Fred's singing voice. Jim Wise does. So I apologize.
But is this definitely Matthew Lillard doing the Scooby and Me song?
Yeah, so Matthew Lillard is doing Shaggy here, and Frank Welker does Scooby's singing voice.
Aww. Is Matthew Lillard a known singer? Like, have they done singing things before?
No. No.
See, I almost feel like I don't understand why they would want other people to voice them singing, because it's like, I guess if they're like horrific, like I couldn't sing, but it's like you'd want to hear those characters sing how the characters would sing. You don't want them to like turn into some Broadway star just because it's a musical episode, right? I kind of feel like that kills it a bit. But
Yeah.
the singers that they get to replace them do convincingly sound like them singing.
Certainly.
So like, they don't do a bad job at all, to be honest. Would you sing, Millie? Or
No.
would you get someone
I
else to
thought they did a really good job of, like you're saying, like matching it, all that kind of stuff. I think maybe Fred's voice was a little bit deeper, but I just put that down to the fact that I think to sing maybe they needed to be more themselves or something, but then as you said, it was actually a different cast.
Well, it's interesting what people do. Like, for example, like we just finished watching the entirety of Buffy, and one of them was the musical episode. And I think he's called Masters or Mars something, James something. The one that plays Spike is an American that is playing a British character, to the point where they do it that well that when they're singing songs, he manages to sing in a British accent. And it's like, that's just awesome.
It is.
I wish I could sing in a different accent. I can't sing in my own accent, so let alone another accent. Although it might even be better. Who knows? I could be a Bollywood star in another life.
I believe in you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, singing has never
That's why I'm
been
here.
something that I've been into. Maybe
You know, it's funny. I actually like absolutely love to sing, but I don't like do it publicly at all. And you know, I could probably use a lot of voice lessons, but I don't know. I love to sing.
Do you like karaoke?
You know, I've never actually totally done it, but I'm not against it.
Well, here's what disappointed me a bit with this film, and I guess the background to it. In terms of whatever bonus features this has, it does have like versions of every song, but with lyrics that you can follow along with, which I thought was amazing. But I almost wish that
Watch
they
along
integrated.
option.
Yeah, like
Yeah, oh my goodness. I agree. We once did a watch along at the cinema. It was for Rocket Man, so Elton John's movie. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's a sing along, it's going to be great. So we got in there, the lyrics went up on the screen, and not a single person started singing. I was upset.
no, but like,
Aww.
like there was the movie without the lyrics, and then lyrics in the song.
Yeah, it'd
but there
be good
wasn't
to
a version
choose.
of the movie, the full movie, with the lyric songs, which is what I think would have made it for me personally.
Yes, that always bugged me that they have like a special features sing along, but you can't do the sing along with the whole movie. And I'm like, but I'd always do that with like High School Musical or whatever. Like, come on, I want to watch the movie and sing along.
Like, maybe one day we'll have to like invest in like 2 DVD players and 2 copies of the film just to like pause it, play the version, fast forward it on the other version, and just do it like that. That's what we're gonna have
There
to
you
do
go.
one day. And I don't think Millie will be up for it, because I think Millie's a better singer than me, but you wouldn't do that, would you, Millie?
course I would. I like singing.
Aw, well, we can certainly try that. I'm definitely awful.
I'll sing for you, JayBee.
You can sing on my behalf. You can try and sing in my accent, actually. You could do that. You could, like, show off your acting skills. So, after this kind of pro-lockdown, anti-lockdown, there's, like, I don't know what this is, some anti-vaxxer melody or something. Whatever they're trying to do with this scene. We've got Daphne's section with, like, the outfit, which I really like. We've spoken about that. And then we kind of get this sequence where it's Bram and Daphne together. We see Fred's getting a bit jealous at the start, which doesn't really go anywhere, right? It just shows him being jealous for a few seconds and then that's kind of it, which again, we know that that's not really going to go anywhere, so it's good that they don't linger on it too much. But I've got to say, at the start here, where Bram's almost acting like a bit of a sleazy Spider-Man, they actually don't have awful chemistry. Like, they're, you know what I mean? They're okay at the start. And then that leads us to our duet song.
I love this song, not gonna lie.
I like it, and the thing with the duet is that it's a lot of fun, and it's great to see Daphne in this scene. You know, there's the dancing, and I don't know, here's the thing, it gives Daphne a great plot point, and it makes Bram almost like trying to do a sales pitch, and it's like, if you're trying to convince Daphne to, you know, it's like, what's Daphne's weakness, I guess, or what could be her perceived weakness? You know, everyone always, like, kind of, you know, dumps on, like, oh, she's just, like, the attractive one or whatever, and it's kind of like, well, what would the attractive one be scared of? Aging, you know, losing that aspect. And so it's like, okay, if you become a vampire, you can stay at this forever. And that's, like, a genuinely clever way of marketing it to her. But then when she rejects him after the song, it's like, okay, so, like, they've just got everyone just hanging from the ceiling to catch her anyway. And it's like, well, what was the need for the sales pitch and the salsa dancer? Like, if she just agreed to go along, would they just be hanging up there for no reason? Would they be left there for the whole movie? And, like, God forbid if he actually, like, managed to make progress with her, like, would they just be up there watching? Like, it just seems a bit awkward. I don't quite know what's going on.
It's like, I don't know, sometimes it's hard with this movie because, like, I get, you know, they were trying to make it a musical, but sometimes I feel like they like sing or whatever, and then right after they're like, oh crap, we gotta like hurry and move the story along super fast. And so, like, with this, yeah, they're like, oh, she said no, we just have to hurry and kidnap her now.
Yeah. And I guess they couldn't really have her saying yes, because that would be a bit odd.
Yeah.
A bit like, what, nihilistic? Just like, oh yeah, I'm scared of losing my looks, so I'm gonna submit to full-on, like, vampirage. So, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. She gets kidnapped. But weirdly enough here, I enjoyed that even though she's the one that does get kidnapped, at no point does it feel like it's reverting back to, like, a danger-prone Daphne scenario, because I do feel like they pre-selected her for something. It wasn't just she was at the wrong place at the wrong time. She was just doing what she thought was best for the mystery, which is good, because there's nothing wrong with Daphne getting, you know, kidnapped in the confines of the films. Like, it doesn't make it like an anti-feminist film, I don't think. It's just how it happens that I think is usually the issue. But here I think it's quite natural.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of like how it leads forward, you know, with the gang kind of like going to her rescue. And I never felt like once that they were like, oh, danger prone Daphne again. You know, it was like, as you said, they kind of, the vampire people kind of had already planned on doing this and whatever. So it was just kind of their ploy to get her.
Yeah, if anything, like, Velma almost is jealous of that aspect. She's like, oh, well, I've got a pure soul and no one's kidnapping me. And it's like, well, stop it, Velma. You had a pervert in Camp Scare. You had Windsor last movie. Like, come on, let's let Daphne have a go for one time, and maybe in the next movie you'll have something again. Like, just stop. Just be safe in this movie.
Yeah.
But then Shaggy and Scooby manage to reunite with the rest of the gang when they go to find Daphne, I want to say. And Van Helsing kind of does this weird pantomime thing where, like, it's revealed later, and this is almost a bit goofy, that in that one particular spot, he's, like, rigged some, like, arms to come out and grab him. I was like, well, this guy's a genius. Like, if he's this clever to plan all of this, I'm sure that he could invent something that people would have.
Yeah, really. Well, I want to know more of his story. I felt like he was so fast. He was just like, yeah, I failed like 2 weeks ago. Here I am. And I'm like, wait, what the frick happened?
He's just essentially some type of, I don't know, a bit of a rascal or some sort. Like, what are they doing? They're just there to be a bit quirky. But oh my gosh, are we onto a song already? I've put down that there's another song. Oh, okay. So I think now I'm up to the stage where we've got our dearly beloved song.
Yes, we are at the Bride of the Vampire.
And I thought this song was okay. You know, perhaps that someone could make a trap remix of it that would make it somewhat suitable for a weird Halloween party.
That'd be funny.
But right now it's just okay. It is what it is. It gets the job done. Unless anyone else has any particular thoughts about that song that's any different.
I don't think so.
Was it one of your favourites, man? Whoa.
The first one was my favourite.
I just got daggers there and I don't know why.
Because you know the first one was my favourite, and everyone since then you've been like, is it your favourite? No. Did you really like this one? Not as much as the first one.
No.
My only thing with this one is the weird like interruptions kind of throw it off for me. I mean, I kind of like the side comments of like Shaggy, oh, we didn't get a wedding gift, and Fred's like, oh, I got one right here, whatever. But like, there's this moment in the middle of it where Valdronia appears and he's all like, oh, immortal beauty and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know, it kind of throws off the song for me a little bit, because I'm like, wait, I was vibing with it, and now you cut in the middle of it, and then you expect to go back, and I'm like, I thought the song was over.
Yeah, there are a lot of interruptions. I guess there needs to be to get the story furthered, but then it's like, well, just don't.
Yeah.
But I had like a laugh out loud moment that I haven't had for a while watching these movies, and that was when like Daphne's almost under a spell, and like Velma goes up to her, and she like, something happens, I think it's either the fog or the gas or whatever, and it makes like tears stream from her eyes. And Daphne's like, oh, don't worry, Velma, I really appreciate you came to my wedding. You won't always be the bridesmaid. Like, I just thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But then chaos ensues, as it often does, and we end up with Van Helsing being unmasked as, well, the perpetrator, as Valdronia. So what did you think of this reveal, Smash?
So first off, I want to say that this is, I won't say a rare occasion because it's not really rare, but it's just fun to kind of note that. So Jeff Bennett voiced Van Helsing, but he also did the voice of Lord Valdronia. So the same voice actor that was behind the mask did the villain in this movie, which I thought was fun because sometimes they get like Frank Welker or Greg Griffin to do the actual like monster or whatever. But anyway, so I have to say it was just too obvious was the thing for me. Because, like, I mean, again, I just talking about the voice actor. I feel like he did not even change his voice for the vampire. And it's like, okay, I can totally hear your voice. Like, you didn't do anything to try to cover it up. And so, it makes sense, kind of what, that it was him and what he was trying to do. But I felt like, unfortunately, it wasn't hard to expect him or suspect him. And he also is just freaking creepy now to me because, like, how old are you, dude? And you're trying to get this teenager Daphne to marry you?
Oh god.
Excuse me?
Mad movement there, JV.
I mean, I can't say I blame him, right? I can't say I blame him, but how old is Daphne meant to be in this movie? I want to say.
Well, if they're
19.
going by, like...
Well, no, because they're in high school in the
it's...
last one, aren't
Yeah, so if they're going by, like, the original ages, then she should be 16.
they? That's disgusting, though, because that's... Is that technically legal in the UK? Like, for marriage? You can get married in the UK from 16 with parental consent, and then from 18 you don't need parental consent. I don't know if that's a similar thing in America, but yeah, without a doubt, what this Van Helsing guy is trying to do is disgusting. Although, with the reveal of what's going to happen, we assume that it's just going to be that action happens as a legend to sell books and to become like a tourist attraction. I don't think we're meant to believe that he would keep her around if you know, I don't think that would happen necessarily.
I want to know what he planned to do, like have this whole ceremony and pretend to marry her and then just disappear? Like what was he planning to like do? Or even, you know, even as himself be like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're okay. I'm sorry I couldn't help." And like what was he going to tell the actors and stuff, because you know, he pulled them into all this, and I wanted to know what his plan was if he had succeeded with this.
Yeah. Or at the very least, if like he wanted them there because they were renowned mystery solvers that would have added credibility to his story, he could have maybe have selected someone to kidnap that wasn't in that group. Because then that would just motivate them even more to solve the mystery. Just to witness it would have been enough for him. But he kind of goes a bit too far with it.
You know what would have been interesting, which I know they wouldn't do it, especially here, but if they had brought back in this movie, like Daphne's coast to coast from Zombie Island and was like, "Oh, you do this show, you can give credibility. Please come tape my supernatural vampire ritual and put it on TV." That kind of would have been interesting.
Yeah, and it would have made the age difference a bit less weird as well, because Daphne's, I guess, an adult. And
yeah.
But then the musical would have been a bit out there, but definitely, like, I don't know what happened to the coast to coast thing, because that just seems like it was completely forgotten about, even though it technically belongs in the same world as the first 4 movies, and then there's like this weird moment in the Monster of Mexico where she just starts like narrating things like a presenter, so I don't know, they could have done a bit of a prequel thing here where maybe she was starting to try out a show. I mean, I would go as far to say I would absolutely love to be a modern interpretation of Daphne where she's like a YouTuber with a channel called Coast to Coast or something, where she's like capitalizing on, you know, filming what happens with the mysteries.
Have you guys seen Franken-Creepy yet?
No, I think it's coming up. I don't know when it is, but not yet. We're kind of, for the ones that we've got coming up that we haven't seen, we're kind of keeping for like first watchings to be just before the episodes.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Franken-Creepy is coming up. But in that one, she has her own web show called shoot, I can't think of the name now. Something like anyway, she has a web show that she does where she talks about, she talks about like girly stuff and whatever, but also about their mysteries and whatnot. And there's a really funny end credit scene in that movie that you'll have to stick around for that kind of revolves around that. But that's interesting that you say that, because that actually is going to happen here shortly, where she'll have her own web show and talk to fans and stuff.
That is absolutely perfect, because that is how it would happen, right? I'm sure, at least like in modern day, if someone has an inkling to grow up to be a reporter, they'd do stuff like that. Like, you know, I'm sure there's many people right now that have a YouTube podcast that will then grow up to be like on the radio. Like things kind of bud in that way. So I would love to see that. In fact, if they ever were to like go ham with like marketing and stuff, if you could subscribe to that channel and they just like posted before like every movie release or something, that would just be amazing. Like sneak peek. I mean, they probably would never do it because they'd have to like animate it, and they're kind of getting a bit lazier with bonus features nowadays. But that would be amazing. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I want.
telling you,
no,
Warner Brothers, like, just shoot me an email. I will become your Scooby Doo YouTube channel. I kind of already am, but like, come on.
Could you imagine every single movie that we've covered so far, but like it's the parts that we don't see, and it's just like Daphne vlogging, like
yeah,
what he did with Spider-Man, like in his first movie in like the Marvel Universe, where it's like vlogging the events of Civil War, and it's just there like Daphne throughout all these movies, like this is what you didn't see. And it's like her like vlogging with the Loch Ness Monster. Oh my lord. I need this web series.
What if okay, so there was a kind of random side tangent. Earlier this year, in April, we didn't do it like on April 1st, for like April Fool's Day, but me and this friend planned like this April Fool's joke that I was gonna be in an upcoming Scooby Doo movie. And like we had come up with the whole story. We came up with the title. It was gonna be called Scooby Doo and the Webcam Warlock, and it was gonna be like the Scooby Gang go to this YouTube kind of convention thing, and like I'm there, and there's other YouTubers, and can you imagine like a vlog style Scooby Doo movie?
It would be awesome, almost like found footage. I guess that's the word.
Yeah. Oh, have you guys seen the Scooby Doo project?
Scooby Doo project? No, I know there's something that's a bit like that. I think it's called is it Night of the Living Do, or is that something completely different?
That's something different. I'm gonna send you guys the Scooby Doo project. So this is a like spoof of the Blair Witch Project, but they did it Scooby Doo, and it's so funny. So I'm gonna send that over to you guys.
Thank you. I'll definitely check that out. But yeah, I'm honestly simping for the idea of like a Daphne show. Oh my gosh, they need to get that done. I don't know why they don't do it. Well, I know why they don't do it, but it is a shame because I do feel like there were so many cool things. Like it wouldn't like researching for the podcast wasn't just a case of watching the movie. It was watch the movie, look at all the behind the scenes things, like even play like the little runny jumpy game. And now it is just like, oh yeah, just watch the movie. Maybe IMDb it. That's a bit of a shame.
I wish we could even get like figures, like toy figures for the movies, because like with the new one that'll be out this coming week, the Courage crossover movie, I'm like, can you imagine like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Scooby Doo toys? Like, I'd go crazy for that.
I honestly think that the only way and the closest way to that we're gonna get is honestly with what's happening with Playmobil at the moment, because opening up some of those packs, we're starting to see some characters not only from the What's New era, which is like they were like next to no merchandise for them, but there's what's the name? Alice May. There's an Alice May minifigure in that set, which is from
Really?
Incorporated.
That's incredible. I did not know about that.
So I think at some point down the line, there's going to be more modern minifigures or stuff like that. So maybe there's going to be a play set. So, Scooby and Courage, build some set from the movie.
Yeah.
Although it may take a while. It's just a shame that they don't do it with like Scoob, pretty much. Like Scoob got
true
treatment with stuff like that. But unfortunately, none of the other things. Although this is going to be a big release, I'd say, because I think this was the first trailer for a while that was trending, right, with the Courage movie.
Yes, that trailer. I mean, of course, because it has Courage the Cowardly Dog and stuff. But it trended on Twitter. And I'm trying to look it up right now. It got, let's see, it's gotten like almost 3 million views.
I just feel a bit bad though, because I almost wish that I was as excited as everyone else seems to be for it, but I just think because I've only seen like one Courage movie, it's a bit like not movie. I think I've only seen one episode and like turned it off because it was a bit like frightening, and that's kind of it. Like, I don't know. I'm sure it's gonna be good, but knowing nothing about Courage, it's a bit like, I guess they're gonna be there and stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I did start watching Courage. I need to finish it, but there's so much Courage lore and background that I don't know that I'm like I'm not. I mean, I'm excited for it. I am, but it's not necessarily for the actual fact that it's a crossover with Courage. I'm kind of like, well, it's just another Scooby movie. What I am excited to see, because of what I do know and have the little I have seen of Courage, is I'm really hoping, I'm not gonna hold my hopes out for it, but I'm hoping that since it is with Courage, that they finally have another supernatural, like actual supernatural villain in this movie, and it not be all just an unmasking.
That'd be fun, especially with the world it's in. And I think I've read that they actually have got the voice actor for Courage to come back as well.
Yes.
So it definitely appears to be canon with whatever, like, I don't know if there's been like Courage things in the past or if this is like Courage's long-awaited return, but it definitely appears to be canon in whatever world that Courage is from.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess this movie now, so let's see. I did notice that it was interesting because when Van Helsing was unmasked, the explanation music from Mystery Incorporated is now absent. So at some point they took it away to then add it back in at a point that I'm not sure about. All I know is that it is back by the time Sword and the Scoob comes around, which I guess in this universe is like still a good 10 films away or something.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, and this is like the third movie in a row where one of the villains being arrested asks a member of the gang to wait for them to get out of jail to go on a date with them. And it's like starting to think that this is less of a mystery solving experience and more of like a Tinder date at this point.
Honestly, though.
It's just bad. But I think they explain reasonably why the gang was invited, because there's times in the past, like with Ben Ravencroft, where it just seems like they almost cause their own downfall. I think that Van Helsing could have planned it a bit better, but I think the reason why they're invited is relatively reasonable. The only thing is that them being respectable mystery solvers at this point does just come out of absolutely nowhere. And I don't know if they touch upon it in the next movie, Big Top Scooby Doo, but clearly Mystery Inc. are starting to build up a reputation as mystery solvers, but like we don't see that at all in this movie. Like they definitely solve a lot of mysteries, but we don't ever see them, you know, in the front of a newspaper saying, you know, Mystery Inc. do it again or anything like that. So I don't know if that's just a convenience, but maybe. And then we have like a little re-rendition of the song from the first section, which I know was Milly's favourite song, so they kind of redo that at the end. And it could be seen as...
they had a reprise.
Yeah, a reprise. It can be seen as a bit lazy, but I honestly think it works. I would have almost preferred like a classic, you know, on-stage musical ending where like it's almost a stage and like the cast all come out and have like a little cheer and people like the audience boo the villain. Like that would have been kind of funny. But this works as well, and I don't think it's bad. And a missed opportunity that I think there was is I would have loved to have seen like the sat nav and like the mystery machine turn itself on and start singing. Like I think that would have been funny.
True, with the GPS.
Like that was amazing. Like it was a bit annoying in the movies that it was in, but like for that to come back and have a song would have just been amazing. But that doesn't happen, unfortunately. And that's the end of the film. So
yeah,
jeez, it's a bit weird. I feel it ended a bit abruptly. They wrap everything up nicely, but it does seem a bit abrupt. Like there's not really an explanation to why the singing's happening, but it is what it is. it is what it is.
Okay, so I guess like JayBee said, that's the end of the movie unless there's anything you want to add, Smash.
Nope, I don't have anything.
Okay, so with that in mind, I guess it's time to go to the rating. So JayBee, what do you say? Scooby Doo Music of the Vampire, smash or pass?
So it's weird because I feel like this movie could have been a movie that I would have loved and no one else would have loved because it's a bit goofy, a bit stupid, but it's like, you know, even if you hate a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, you can put it on in the background and every so often you get to dance to an absolutely amazing song, that type of thing. It's something you can put on to switch your mind off and have fun, but I almost don't feel like it can be that all the time either. It's like, you know, if you could download the first song or like the second song from this movie and just play that whenever, I feel like I would, and for that reason there'd be no reason for me to watch this movie again. It definitely is far from the worst, but it's like, I feel like I could put on One Stop Mexico and have more like songs to jam to overall than this. I don't know, I'm conflicted with this one big time because it is different and I appreciate that, and I do have fun with it in some parts. But I think ultimately I'm just gonna have to pass this one. It's very close to being a smash, and in fact on another day it might be, but for now I think it's a very, very weak pass. So with that being said, Millie, would you smash or pass Scooby Doo and Music of the Vampire? Or the Vampire?
So, like you said, it's kind of difficult. It is really difficult because there are some elements where I'm like, okay, it has to be a smash, whereas other things I think it has to be a pass. So, for example, if it was based entirely on music alone, I think this would be a smash. I just enjoy what they did with the music. If it was based on the story alone, it would be without a doubt a pass. I don't think it was even close to the best mystery that we've looked at. So I guess I don't really know where to balance the two things. I think ultimately it would have to be a pass. Gosh, okay, smash, that just leaves you. So Scooby Doo and the Music of the Vampire, smash or pass?
Okay, so this one, I have a really weird history with it. I remember one day, it was probably like a Saturday or something, but I was just home, laying in bed and whatever, and like I randomly found this movie on YouTube, like the whole movie. I didn't have to pay anything, like it was just the whole movie. I was like, oh, I've never seen this one, never heard of it, let's watch it. I watched the entire movie on YouTube, and then like a little bit later, it was like, oh, the new movie is coming out on DVD, and I go and get it and like put it in, and I was like, wait, I watched this on YouTube. How the frick? I have no idea what happened. I have no idea how. Could not go back and find that video. It's probably taken down. I mean, that was years ago, but so it was really, really weird how I found it and was able to watch on YouTube prior to its release. I mean, it did premiere on Cartoon Network here before it came out on DVD, but not that much earlier, maybe like a week prior to the DVD release. But this one, I remember, you know, once it did come out, I had a friend back in the day that we were, you know, pretty close, and we rode the bus to and from school together, and we sat and like memorized the Done with Monsters song. We each like learned our parts. We took parts and whatever, and so like that song is just ingrained in my head because of how many times we went over it and tried to, you know, memorize it and stuff. And so anyway, this one has definitely dropped for me in like ranking over the years. You know, but I still kind of have this one a little higher just because, again, I am so addicted to musicals, and although this isn't the best musical out there, they could have done a lot better, and I think it was just kind of something they were trying to do, something different, something fun, and it doesn't always work. There's a handful of songs that's like, could have done better or just taken out completely. I do honestly feel like they should have made Scooby Doo Stage Fright a musical rather, kind of like a Phantom of the Opera-esque type musical thing. But I'm gonna be the odd man out with this one and say I'm gonna smash this one.
Yes, okay, this is interesting because I feel like this is the first time we've had that divide.
Yeah, oh my lord. That's awesome.
That's amazing. So I guess everyone in the comments section let us know what you think too.
A thing is that I've just realised, is they build up side characters like the campaigner and the wicked woman from the carnival, and then like never seen again. There's no like explanation for anything, they just continue with their lives. But well, okay, that is very interesting. I was not predicting that, but that is amazing. I guess it just shows that anything can happen. So
it does. So
I guess in terms of anything now to wrap things up, community news. Is there anything going on with the Scooby community at the moment? Let's think. I don't think there is. I guess literally by the time when this comes out, it's Saturday, right? So how far are we away from Courage's release on Saturday? It's 2 days away,
2
right?
days.
Yeah.
So that's
Which is
going to be
2 days away
interesting.
from Scooby's birthday too, 13th of September, right?
Oh yeah, wow, okay.
Yes, Monday is the anniversary of Scooby Doo. I will say too, I'm gonna shout this out. I'm gonna be selfish, but if you guys haven't checked out the Scooby Snacks, and that's snacks with an X. If you go check out ScoobySnacks.com, I believe it is, websites, kind of with like resources and news and stuff. It's kind of like a fan account website, but they have been doing like spotlights this month for the anniversary of Scooby Doo, and on Monday the 13th, the anniversary of Scooby Doo, I did a little interview with them, and that'll be up that you can read and see read what you will. So yeah, I'm gonna be spotlighted on Scooby's anniversary that day over there. So if you guys want to check that out.
That is awesome. We're definitely going to be up for reading that, and if we see, like, we'll link everything in like the description or whatever. That's actually going to be amazing. I think, oh gosh, in terms of us, I think we're going to have to go through the rigmarole of bringing out a whole Scooby collection for like a big collection video then. Because people have been asking for it for a while. Like, I've been trying to like go, oh my gosh, how do we make this live stream bigger than the last live stream? Like, do you want to see us buy this thing? Do you want to see us save up for this object? And I'm like, okay then, this is what we've done for these 3 live streams. What do you want in the comment section? And we had like 3 comments saying, please show your collection. That's like, okay. So we'll just do that.
What if we did, kind of late to plan one, but I was like, what if we did somehow like a joint live stream on Scooby's anniversary?
Ooh, I'd be up for that. I wouldn't know how to facilitate it, so maybe that would be more of a you thing. But we could do that.
Yeah, I could figure that out.
That'd be amazing. In terms of other community news, I guess the Scooby Addicts have launched a new website. It's called like the Scooby Museum. And honestly, I thought that what they were building up to, because they released like a new clue like for 3 days on the build up to the 7th of September. I thought that they were going to present their full tour of their kind of Scooby room. But it's cool. It's like a Scooby Museum. I'll link it in the description. And I can't figure out what it is. Like, I haven't had time to check it yet, but I will. I don't know if it's a way for you to almost say, if we've got Pogo Scooby, we can research Pogo Scooby and add it to our page, or if it's just everything we need to know about Pogo Scooby. But it looks really cool from what we've seen. So yeah, that's there. Elephant in the room, I suppose, would be that we did the Kate Melton interview, and honestly, if you're listening to this and you haven't heard that, I cannot recommend that enough. It's definitely one of the main highlights of pretty much anything that I've done. It's definitely like in top, I want to say top 10 moments of my entire existence. So interpret that how you will. But we definitely cannot recommend that enough. That is awesome. And hopefully there's some more interviews coming up in the future, which will be fun.
Yeah, she was so sweet and so awesome. So yeah, please go check that out. Appreciate you guys setting that up. I just kind of arrived.
No, not at all. Like, it was great having you there, and I'll stand by it. Like, just rewatching it, there's so many occasions where she was like asking like something like almost not vague, but there was a very specific answer, but she clearly wasn't asking for a specific thing. Like, oh, so when about did the Mystery Begins come out? And then you were like, okay, so it came out at this day at this time, and it was to celebrate this occasion. And like, honestly, I just turned to Millie. I was like, yes, this is it. This is amazing. So like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it was fantastic. Amazing stuff.
You know, it'd be cool is if when we get to either of those movies, maybe she'd want to come back for one of those.
See, I was just thinking that, but then I'm scared though, because if I like say something negative about them, and to be fair, I don't have much negative to say about them. To be honest, I guess there's logistics, and if I'm being really analytical about it, but I'd just be so scared. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't really like this plot point, and then like she's just there like, yeah.
How rude.
But that would actually be a dream come true, to be honest. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be amazing. But I guess to wrap things up, Smash, where can we find you on the Tinterwebs?
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter, Instagram. My handles should be the same for both, which is just Ashton Hardy _. Of course, I'm on YouTube, which is just smASH. If you search Ashton Hardy, it should be one of the first ones that pop up. I have been kind of taking a break from a lot of things as of late. But with the new Courage movie, just, over the horizon, I do plan to kind of get a handful of videos out, within these next few days, surrounding that movie and its release. And then we are just starting to get planning the next big reaction collaboration for that movie, which I'm super excited about. I was going to do it, and then I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then kind of decided last minute of like, you know what, no, I need to do something fun, with everything that's going on in my life right now. I want to kind of get back in this community. And I thought, what better way than doing a big reaction with anyone who would like to do it, because this is going to be a special movie for a lot of different reasons, for a lot of different people. So super excited about that. And yeah.
Oh, that is amazing, and definitely a momentous occasion. We'd definitely be interested in doing that. I might even try and face camera it, but it'll take a lot of prep, but it's going to be amazing. Like, the last one was just so much fun.
The last one was amazing, so it'd be great to do this one too.
But I guess Millie,
I'm just excited.
Where can people find Millie on the internet? Nowhere, that's where. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I think if that's everything, then just let you all know the next episode will be...
Oh gosh, it's Big Top Scooby Doo, isn't it? So that's going to be fun, right? I mean, from the sounds of things, it's almost like a circus, so we'll see. We'll see what...
Have you guys seen that one?
I've never seen that in my life, so it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Okay then, your immediate, you think of circus and Big Top and stuff. Just get ready. It ain't what you think it is. At least like the villain wise.
In an ideal world, if we had all the time in the world and everything was in ideal recording circumstances, I think I would literally record a reaction of every single one of the movies and have them as a pre-show to the podcast episodes.
I wish we could watch them together.
We need to just buy some house or something, or we'll just buy a mystery machine or something.
Set up Zoom calls okay, we're pressing play in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh no, because then
yeah, right.
My face would be on the screen.
That'd be terrible, JayBee. No one wants to do that.
No, because I've got my malformed lip.
Stop instantly.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
So, I guess this has been another episode of the Smash or Pass podcast. Again, check out Smash in the comments, not the flipping comment section, in the description. Check out the Kate Milton interview, and like, honestly, just see how long I can stay professional, because it's for surprisingly a long time. But then at the end of it, I just burst into tears. It's a very emotional time, but it's fun regardless. And hopefully there's some more interviews coming up in the future. There's obviously Scooby Doo movies to come. So yeah, if you do want to see that, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.